Will, you're 20 years younger than the most of your opponents and the only African-American Democrat. Do you feel like that's an advantage or a disadvantage? And to Anna, you are the only Latina in the race. Do you feel like that's an advantage or disadvantage in our community now that we're transitioning from a majority to a majority minority?
Thank you for the question. Of course I think it's an advantage. I talked about the need for new leadership. I've worked in both the House and the Senate, the only one up here who has. And I'll tell you, in the House, it's all about seniority. My friends in the House of Delegates, I think, will tell you that. And you want to put the youngest, most qualified person in the seat. I mean, that's just flat out, because you want them to accrue seniority and to be able to be effective and bring things back to the district. It's going to take us 2, 3, 4 cycles to win the House back, get those crazies out of there, the Tea Partiers, and actually start passing some legislation. To your second point, it's important that we have diverse representation. I cannot underscore that. I hear the language up here, well-intentioned from people, talking about those people and minorities and these things. That's not the language. The Democratic Party needs to be pushed here. You're seeing that with the Black Lives Matter movement. It's communities of color. We are not the minority. We're the majority. So it's all of us together. And I think we can do it, and I know everyone's well-intentioned, but part of my role in this race is to be to educate my colleagues and the millennials who are 33% of the voters in this district who are under 40.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful question. Yes, I definitely think that being the only Latina here is a huge advantage, because I think the time has come. The time has come for us to open the doors and welcome everybody that is in the United States and contributing and being the hardest workers and making this country the strong country that it's always been. I think as a Latina, I am unique to be able to bring forth and open doors for a huge community that right now is invisible. We have 83,000 Latinos turning 18 every day in the United States, born here. Now, that is our future workforce. That is who all of us will depend on. Should we not be being an advocate, a strong advocate for the largest minority community, the fastest growing community? I think when they see a face like me, when they hear el español que los invita a participar, yo creo que eso es muy importante. And I don't want you to be afraid of us. I want you to embrace us. As the Pope said, we are all, at some point, immigrants. So let's invite the immigrant to our house. And that's what I hope to do. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul Shapiro. I'm a lifelong resident of District 8 for the last 14 years here in District 20. I want to thank all of the candidates for a great debate and our organizers for putting it on. Quick question for any of the candidates who would like to address it. All right, I'm going with Raskin and Matthews. The United Nations says that animal agriculture is the #1 cause of greenhouse gases, more than the entire transportation sector combined. Many of the biggest environmental groups, including Sierra Club and others, urge us to eat less meat as a way to help protect the environment. Are there any public policies that you might support to help toward that goal or toward combating animal agriculture?
First of all, I want to thank you for your leadership in this community, for environmental causes and for animal welfare causes, and to promote alternatives to meat. I was very proud to have helped come up with the idea for the first Veg Week that we did. And every year Veg Week is growing, and everybody should participate to take 1 week off from meat and see what it's like and experiment with it. Well, look, at the state level, I would say that the single biggest threat to the quality of the Chesapeake Bay right now is the phosphorus runoff from chicken litter. That's the biggest problem, and we haven't named it tonight. I think it's fine for all of us to say, well, all of us are responsible, but we have a sewage system here, and we are trying to deal with the stormwater runoff problem, but Frank Perdue is not helping. the chicken companies are not helping on the Eastern Shore. So we might need to have a moratorium on the construction of the CAFOs, the chicken entities out there where they're raising livestock. And the other thing that we could look at is making the so-called integrators, the big companies, the Purdue's, responsible for the disposal of the chicken litter as opposed to the farmers who keep getting blamed for it.
I think we need to look at all of these factors that do contribute to our carbon emissions and to climate change in a very integrated way. And that's why comprehensive climate change legislation is so critical. We've got to take the lead from the Waxman-Markey bill. We've got to build on it with the new science that we know, and we've got to look at this in a very integrated way, not just closing down coal plants and transitioning this economy to solar and biodigestion and also to wind, but also factors like you talk about. I think when it comes to animal products, and I had a chance to work with the Humane Society very closely when I was at Marriott International as we transitioned at that company to cage-free eggs. We're moving to, the company when I left was moving to other conversations with the Humane Society to be able to address these things. Another thing the company has done is actually give people choice on the menus of vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, all sorts of choices, gluten-free, and I think that's an important part of this economy too. So it's talking about all these things in concert that I think we're going to get to where we need to be for the future.
We have time for one more question.
I'm Ira Feldman. Many of you know me from my prior work at EPA and on the Obama Energy and Environment team. My question goes to the distinction between traditional environmental issues and the concept of sustainability. This question is for Kumar and Kathleen. And I know that sustainability is a concept that many pro-environmental activists have not yet gotten their arms around. I ask you, do you understand sustainability? What's your working definition? And if elected, how would you advance a sustainability agenda?
Let me tell you what my view of sustainability is. Sustainability is about more than just cleaning up the environment and more than just the actual mechanics and chemistry of sustainability. It's about economic sustainability as well. As a nation, we have created a false dichotomy, a false struggle between economic growth and environmental protection, and it's one that I think that we have to reimagine for the 21st century. It's just not good enough to have a system where committed environmentalists do the right thing. We have to build a system that is environmentally sustainable and prosperous so that everyone will be led by their economic interests. Those who are not as committed will be led by their economic interests. And let me give you one classic example of this. Companies like SunEdison are going to CEOs of companies like Marriott and others and saying, look, we'll put solar panels on the roofs of your building, you won't pay for them, you get to pay for electricity at a fixed rate, and we get to sell into the grid at a profit. That's an example of environmental and economic sustainability.
Ultimately, sustainability is about our planet and 6 to 7 billion people on this planet, and whether this planet can sustain that many people in all the resources that are required to give those people quality of life, an opportunity to actually improve their lives and improve their children's lives. So ultimately, sustainability at its very core is going to be going back to cradle to cradle. To what extent can we create a virtuous cycle in this country and on this planet, and by our example in this country, lead other countries to a place where we are not, where we create that virtuous cycle so that we can sustain and actually improve quality of life without depleting every resource that is required to support our population. So ultimately, it is a partnership. It's about government. It's about business. and creating that virtuous cycle there, but it's also about having the far-reaching global view about what it's going to take to support the planet with the number of people we have today, or the number of people that we think the planet could sustainably grow to.